So this weekend, I watched an event go from giving out free candy to selling a lot of merchandise. And now I realize it's going to lead to a long-term customer relationship for many, many customers. And that event was a scavenger hunt.
Welcome to It Doesn't Take a Genius.
Ramsey!
Sometimes we'll leave in the edits of between us saying the dramatic intro and what happens before you say Ramsey. But often it involves you going,
Yeah, I'm intrigued. The scavenger hunt, I always think about some big crows, buzzards,
Yeah, right.
It's like, no, not those scavengers, the good kind.
The good kind of scavenger hunt.
So you obviously had a great weekend.
I did. I went to the Great Homeschool Convention for homeschoolers. That's
Is
the
that
name of it.
is the word "great" in the name?
100% GHC. Oh, Mike, it gets better. It gets better.
The Great Homeschool Convention.
This is a phenomenal event because it is started, automotive folks who are listening, by an F&I manager at a Cincinnati car dealership.
Ooh.
And it's the biggest one in the world. So, homeschooling is illegal in many, many, many countries. If you're socialist of some stripe, you probably are not cool with people just educating their children at home. So, Germany doesn't have it. There are places where they'll take your kids away. But in America, it's
just take your children away.
just 100%. We had a refugee family a couple of years ago who I think it was Germany, fled Germany to America to be able to keep their kids. So they had a court order that was going to take their kids away. So, but anyway, that explains why it is a big deal in America. We have I think the Great Homeschool Conventions has like 5 or 6 of these across the nation. Cincinnati's the original and biggest, and I mean biggest like the most floor space for exhibitors, the most speakers, the most attendees. Wow. In fact, why don't I show you a picture just so you can appreciate some of this. Can you see that?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yes.
So I can't remember the new name. Yeah, this is that's most of the exhibit hall. It's what used to be the Duke Energy Center. It has a new name, and I am ashamed to say I don't remember it, but they just redid it. But yeah, I mean, hundreds of vendors. And a lot of it is curriculum or things to do with your kids, right? I got to show you, since we're on the subject, let me show you.
That looks like the room where they store the Ark of the Lost Covenant.
There's a lot of things happening right now
That is
on the
a
screen,
big
and I
room.
apologize. But yeah, they've made it look gorgeous. It's a beautiful facility. They reopened it this year after a lot of construction. So it's a really beautiful facility. So we go for this homeschool convention. Have gone, I don't know, at least 10 years, I think. And a lot of children's books are sold there by the authors, right? Self-publishing is a big deal, as you and I know. And so one of the authors, Amanda Trumpauer, I believe is how you pronounce her name, she writes the Collar Cases series. It's a dog and a cat that solve some crimes. And she had a booth in the exhibit hall, and she and her husband ran a scavenger hunt every day. And what I mean by that is literally she would hand out some printed paper that had some questions with some hints on where you could find the answers at various booths.
Mm-hmm.
And you wrote down the answers when you found them out, found out the answers to the clues, and then brought it back to her, and you got, candy or a little 3D printed item or something like that. So kids ran around collecting clues from other booths all day Thursday, and then another one Friday, and then another one Saturday. She did 3 different ones.
Oh,
and
man.
The booths had the booths that she sent you to were other children's authors. They were children's literature authors. aka the competition, if you will, right? She's
Right,
sending it
right.
to these other folks.
They're
Um,
rivals.
the rivals, that's right. And at first, the kids just wanted to get a prize. I want the candy or I want that top or whatever it was. But then they, had to go back and visit the booth a second time to turn in the slip and get the candy. And they're looking at the books a little more closely. Next thing you know, we're wanting to buy the books, right? And Mike, it went so well that by the end of the convention, they actually, after having turned in their final sheet and gotten their final prize, they actually said, hey, can we go back and say goodbye to the collar case lady? so, so that's like customer relationship, I believe is what it's called. That's like
Oh, yeah.
long term, customer friendship there. So we're on the mailing list now and all that. It was great.
I'm picturing the author, sitting at your Christmas dinner table.
Right.
So nice to have you here. Yeah, the kids invited me.
And it is a, it's not a huge community. It's definitely a growing community, but a lot of the homeschool people see each other. We run into the same booths year after year and things like that. So it's not a crazy thought the way it was set up. But, I talked to the other booths. I was just curious. I went with my kids and said, hey, I don't know if this is good news or bad news that you're getting all this traffic of people asking you random questions from a scavenger hunt clue. And every single one of them just about said, "Oh, I didn't know we were going to be a part of this. This is actually really cool. A lot of traffic has come my way. Their sales did go up. Their traffic obviously went up. Um, you know, everybody benefited from this thing. And so, like I said, I've been going to this convention for years and years and years, and I don't think anyone's ever done it. You and I have got some examples to share of scavenger hunts that we've heard about, but it's just a low tech idea created a win for many, many, many people in the convention. I just thought it was cool. I thought it was worth a short little episode here to talk about how, just little things to engage the customer, just little things can turn into these big wins. So I wanted to talk about that.
Oh, that's huge. Yeah, yeah. I'm just blown away. So, how many steps did you get per day?
Well, as you know, I refuse to buy an Apple Watch, so I don't know. I have no idea, but I will say this: we slept well at the hotel down the street.
Oh, yeah.
Slept well.
Yeah, a room that big, a scavenger hunt. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're getting your steps in. Is the first thing I
that's
thought.
right.
It's going to be awesome. The idea of we've talked about before of gamification. Uh,
Yep.
right? How do I turn worthwhile things that I need to do into things that I want to do by turning it
Right.
into a game?
Right.
And so, yeah, wonderful illustration of that. Um, so what do you think made it work?
Well, it was a progression. I don't know that it would have been as successful if it had just been that first day and a quick thing and get your prize and move on. But where first off, she was big surprise. She was a very engaging young lady and made this a lot of fun. But first it's a little bit of curiosity and you get that quick prize, and then next thing you know, there's interest in the product, and we're talking about the plots and the world that she's created, and you know you keep doing that enough, and there's a little bit of a connection, right? A little bit of a relationship building, and so it also that's one thing is the progression, but another thing is that she just made it collaborative. It was about the kids getting to learn about these other booths that she and her husband, appreciated. And, so, I know we've talked about this in our workshops, but, this is not the hated enemy, right? This is you call it the worthy rival, right?
Hmm.
And that's a little bit what was happening here is, everyone gained, nobody lost. And, so I think that's a big part of it too. Now, let's talk about gamification though, right? Because it's not a game it's not gamification if it's not a game, right? And so this truly was fun. The clues that she asked, it was really mysterious stuff like, find the one-armed lady who writes books. Well, she stands out, but she writes some books about her particular disability, and has a character that does that. A lot of a lot of homeschoolers have one of the reasons is there's a disability in the house, and it makes it hard to be mainstreamed in with a public school situation. So it was a perfect setup for a lot of the stuff that you're going to have there. And I guess maybe I'm going a little farther here. Let me stop before I keep talking, because I want to talk about how you could make use of this. But what do you see here that catches your attention as to what makes it work?
Well, a few things. The first thought is how altruistic of this author to send people to the other booths.
Right.
That just strikes me as like, okay, that's the kind of person I want to buy stuff from.
Right. Right.
That's the kind of giver. Somebody who's giving back to their, to their fellow authors. A little bit of traffic, because it would have been very easy to make a scavenger hunt that just said, go find these different parts of the building.
Yeah.
Go find the fire extinguisher. Go find, these things that weren't related to that. So the idea that you had a defined game, you have a defined playing field, you had a defined time, right? So this is today's hunt, so it has to be completed today, and then you've got tasks that are somewhat challenging, and at the same time you learn from. So there's it's not just I found it cool, it's I found it and I learned something along the way. And then the fact that I didn't even think about it being more than one day. When you first told me about it, I thought, okay, it was a scavenger hunt that either ran one day, or it was a one scavenger hunt that ran for the 3 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but the way you described it, I'm like, oh, that's brilliant, right? I get to see them 3 different times. It's kind of the difference between, right? We used to have a lot of dealerships, they would do free first oil change.
Yep.
And people would come back one time, get their free oil change, and then go back to wherever they used to do it.
Right.
And then some of the dealerships said, wait a minute, what if we took the same money and divided it into thirds? Mm-hmm. And so you got, you could use, $20 this visit, you had a $20 coupon. The next second visit, you could use a $20 coupon. And your third visit, you could use a $20 coupon.
Yeah.
So now I get 3 chances for the customer to get to know our service department and fall in love with our people. And this follows that same pattern of repeated interactions. So,
and it happened. It happened. I had one kid who didn't really do it day 1, and they were like, "Oh, that was actually fun." And so day 2, they joined in.
Oh, that's a great point, right? Yeah, because some people are like, "I don't know what this is. I'm not going to do it." And then the whole day you see other people enjoying themselves.
Yep.
Oh well, I'm getting in on this, right?
Yep.
So I could see where it would grow. All right, the first one's fun. The laggards, the people, the late adopters would be like, maybe I'll get in on this now that I've seen somebody else do it.
That's it. I think another thing, just, as you sort of extrapolate beyond this event to what can make it work is, we are big fans of the coach approach. Mm-hmm. And so, we can tell people what to do, but it would be cooler if we let them experience it and have some light bulb moment for themselves. We talk about tripping over the truth. Let them discover how cool something is. And then, sure, in the right situation, you could follow that up with some powerful questions, right, about, what surprised you about what you learned during the scavenger hunt, or, what worked, or things like that. Mm-hmm. What was your favorite booth that you visited, or things like that. So that, I think, has to be a part of whatever you do going forward. And we talked recently about bright spots maxing, which is a term that I came up with basically so that I could just say bright spots maxing. But I asked Amanda, how she came up with this, how she decided to pick these booths that you go visit, and she said, it's just we just picked authors that we really liked and wanted to support. And that mutual affection was contagious. So anyway, I think there are some lessons there that you could use for running scavenger hunts in your workplace, tomorrow. You could do this right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. The idea, I have the dealership in my hometown, Ubelor and Sons,
Yeah.
and every month they do what they call open tab, and so they open a tab at a local business, and they give that local business $250, and they say, "All right, we'll promote it on our website, on our dealership website, and Facebook and all that, our social media, and we will drive traffic to your store."
That's
And
great.
whatever you're giving away, up to $250 worth, right? They did it at the little ice cream stand, so they gave away, ice cream until the tab ran out.
I love it.
And they did it at a nursery, and people came in and got little plants. They did it at our local chocolate shop. People come in and got little chocolates and things like that.
Yeah.
And all of these businesses said they saw people they'd never seen before.
Huh. How about that?
So the audience, the social media audience that the dealership captured had a little bit of overlap with the business, but there was this big section that, yeah, I'd never been in that store, but I do business with this store. And so they drove traffic. Right, you didn't have to go by the dealership. You didn't have to. All you had to do was go directly to the store, walk
Yeah.
in, and say, "Hey, I'm here with the open tab," and they would give you some cool stuff.
That's great.
And you're like, it's so smart, so genius, so kind, and giving not just of the money, but giving of the promotion to people who don't know about you yet.
Right.
There's
Right.
so much giving in so many directions with that.
Well, we have seen this also at just inside a car dealership where someone's just bought a car and they're waiting to get into the finance office. There's some paperwork that has to be done, etc. And so they're sent on a tour. Now that it's been done a million different ways. You could have the salesperson take the customer around to visit each of the departments, but there are scavenger hunt versions of this where they have a little paper that they have to get stamped or signed at every department, and when they bring it back to the finance office, they get a big coupon or some free gift from the dealership of I don't know, some automotive related branded item that could be swag or something carried around in the car. And you said that you had seen a version of this that had been done as an actual scavenger hunt for the employee orientation?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was an onboarding exercise. Because the onboarding day is so much fun. You go in, you spend 17 hours completing paperwork and filling out forms and stuff like
Right.
that. So they thought, well, we should break this up a little bit. So they had a scavenger hunt, and the scavenger hunt, this modern version included selfies.
Oh
So
yeah.
there was a list of places you had to go get a selfie. Go get a selfie by the restrooms, right? So I know you know where the restrooms are. Go get a selfie by the fire extinguisher in the back of service. So I know you could find your way through service. And then there were items like come back and tell me the CFO's wife's name. Right, so you had to go meet the CFO, shake his hand, right, find out his wife's name, and you had to introduce yourself to different people. Bring back a pin from parts, and instead of walking people around in your Bueller teacher voice,
Yeah.
over here we have the parts department. It is a key part of our business. They just gave the people that, just like your example, gave the person a sheet and said, go.
Yeah.
Right. And then they came back having met all these people. They've done it firsthand. They've got a sense. And now one of the biggest complaints we get in dealerships is they hire people around here in one department, then they don't tell the other departments.
Yep.
Some guy just, walks up and wants something. I'm like, who are you? And it's like, well, I'm a sales guy. I've worked here for 3 weeks. It's like, oh, well, I never met you. Nobody told me. And so all these things that were just systematic issues for decades in the car dealership solved by this one game, and people enjoyed it. They enjoyed getting out, meeting people, and filling out their list. Some people really like to complete the list, and
Oh
this
yeah,
this spoke to those people
yeah.
as well. So just multiple things that went on that were positive.
Yeah, and you can see just so many different ways this could be done. For a customer, maybe it's like there's a QR code in each of the locations of the scavenger hunt where you
Hmm.
get loaded some offer or limited time coupon or something like that, and uh, you can see how the prizes could all be related. You could have some sort of theme amongst all the businesses or amongst all the departments. And I really like this idea. I've never seen it done, but having the selfie is one thing, but if it ends, like if it ends with some sort of question period too,
Hmm.
where you're getting a chance to find out what resonated with them, and you're doing a little market research as you go. And I didn't mention this on the front end, but I need to say it now. The final episode of the scavenger hunt featured a series of questions about what these young people like to read about. What are the things that they like to read? What do they, what are the things that make them stop reading a book? What are the, it was a whole page of market research. And by this point, you're like, yeah, yeah, filling it all out, right? And super clever way to gather some intel on their, customer base and future customer base. So, yeah, just there, I see a million opportunities, and it's just in this, sort of simple little idea of something we've done since we were kids that there's no reason to stop now. Gamify it, make it fun, introduce people to new things, and obviously don't make it forced. But if it's a modest prize and it's focused on the experience and having that fun, you've had a big win there.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah, the most amazing game I ever saw at a convention or conference. It was at Digital Dealer, which is an automotive national automotive retailer
yep.
convention, and there was a company there that did phone training for salespeople,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a meeting, and so they called it a workshop, but it wasn't a workshop. It turned out to just be this game. And so there was 50 to 60 of these sales managers from various dealerships in the room. And then the guy at the front of the room, the guy from the phone vendor, he had two flip charts in the front of the room, and both had envelopes taped to them. And one was labeled prize, and the other one was labeled action. And so he'd ask for a volunteer. Who's the sales manager that thinks they have a good sales team? Oh, yeah, that's me. And so he'd invite the guy up. He'd say, all right, go to the prize flip chart, pull an envelope off, see what your prize could be. They'd pull an envelope off, open it up, and good prizes, you
Oh,
know, long time ago, digital cameras, iPads, things like that.
yep.
And then the best part of the whole thing he would hand that sales manager the prize. Right? Here, hold this iPad right in the box, brand new iPad. And then you say, all right, now pick an envelope off the action. And you pick an action and envelope, open it up, and it would be some very basic phone sales behavior that a salesman would do. Ask for the customer's name, right?
Yeah.
Ask for the appointment.
Yep.
Just the basic stuff. And then it got so painful because he would put it on the loudspeaker in the whole room, and he'd ask the sales manager for the number for his sales department. And he would just call him, and the whole thing would be broadcast. And so the sales
Oh.
manager stand there, his salesperson's on the phone. Salesperson doesn't know it's a test, and the guy would say, "Hey, I'm calling about the car you have there, and can you tell me something about it?" And the guy's like, "Yep, yep." And maybe the guy's action was ask them to come in and drive it. And sales manager would be like, "Come on, come on." The kid would be like, "Yep,
Do it.
yep. It's a nice car. We're open until 8 p.m. I'll be here till then as well." All right, thanks. Bye.
Crickets.
Yeah. And then the sales manager would be standing there, and then the guy would go over and he would take the prize away from the sales manager and send him back to his seat. It was just so painful. It hurt so much. And then he just called the next guy. Right? He said, "All right, who's got a good sales team?" And they go, "Oh, I can do it." He didn't give away a single prize in an hour and a half session of just repeatedly. I don't know how many times he did it. And then at the end, he goes, the vendor goes, "Well, my time is up. Our booth is number 87 out on the convention floor. Come see me." And he just walked out. And there was a line beautiful. The line at this booth, it was just wrapped around the convention hall.
So clever.
It was the greatest, And so turned it into a game. There was no lecture, no bullet points, no stuff. Just let's turn this into a game. And we've talked about the idea of tripping over the truth.
Yep.
Where you just cannot deny that this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And He literally made the managers trip over the truth that their sales team could be immensely better with just a little bit of training, and people signed up.
I think that's a great way to cap this off, because there's a third version of this. It's just a game. It works with customers. It works with employees. It works with potential customers at the B2B level who get shamed and embarrassed in front of their peers in a fun way. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm. They volunteered.
Yeah.
They raised 100%. Their hands.
100%.
Yeah.
I love it. But so have some structure to it. Make it truly fun. And no reason you can't share the wealth with other businesses and folks around you. It's just such a simple idea, and we're always looking for a customer to have an experience. In our day and age, it is the experience economy, and that's all we're really saying here, is that there are some really low-tech ways to do this, where you can get your audience to, like you said, trip over the truth, and do it in a fun way where they're still engaged and remembering it after it's over. So, a little, dare I say, this is a Bright Spots Maxing moment. If you'll allow me to say that, Mike.
Oh, no cap. It certainly is.
Oh, jeez.
I think this wraps up another episode of the Great It Doesn't Take a Genius podcast. So we're renaming it. In case I forgot to send you the memo for marketing. It's now the Great It Doesn't Take a Genius podcast. I'm all in on this. We have to redesign the logo and everything. With that, we'll throw it over to the great announcer, Mr. John Wolf. Take it away, Mr. Wolf.
And that's it. Join us next time when you'll hear Mike say, well, I'm sure he'll say something pithy. Don't miss it. Next time, It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.